The movie begins with a large gathering attending the funeral of a French novelist, Victor Hugo. A young woman named Eugenie Cleary is spotted in their midst, panicking. She returns home to meet her parents and sibling, waiting for her arrival. Her father, Francois Cleary, asks where she is coming from, and she tells him that she is with a friend. While they are all eating, Eugenie's brother, Théophile, informs them he will be going to a debate the next day. Francois is happy to hear about it. Eugenie asks Théophile if she can go with him, but her father refuses. Eugenie goes to her room and hears a strange noise that scares her. Her granny, Grand-mère, comes to her room door, which scares her off. Eugenie then goes to help her with her hair and put her to bed. Grand-mère asks her if she went to Victor Hugo's funeral, and she confirms that she did. While leaving Grand-mère room, Eugenie hears some noise, and as she goes to check who it is, she sees Théophile locking lips with an unknown woman. The following day, Théophile is shocked to see Eugenie in his carriage, and he tells her that she can't follow him as he cannot disobey their father's command. Eugenie, however, tells him that she doesn't want to go to his debate and only needs him to drop her at a cafe where she can take some fresh air, read and smoke. Eugenie arrives at a cafe, and as she reads a book and smokes along, she sees a young man nearby doing the same. The man notices her staring at him, and he goes to meet her. She tells him he can't sit with her, and he replies by saying he thought she was looking at him. Eugenie then tells him that she isn't staring at him, and as he is about to leave, she informs him that she is only staring at his book. This response makes him stay back, and he then tries to joke around with her about the book. He offers Eugenie the book and tells her to promise him to return it, which she complies with. The next scene shows Théophile walking with a lady named Hortense, with his parents and hers walking behind them. Eugenie walks forward to meet them and says some annoying statement to Hortense, which makes her angry, and she walks away from their midst. Francois walks to meet Eugenie and scolds her for her behavior. In the next scene, Eugenie hears some strange noise, making her fidget. She reveals to Théophile that she sees spirits and that a young woman who she feels is suffering has been speaking to her and asking for her help. Théophile reveals to her that he is scared of things like that, but Eugenie tries to calm him down. The next scene shows Eugenie combing Grand-mère hair. She suddenly feels something like a possessed being and throws the comb off her hand, and begins removing some books from a nearby shelf. Grand-mère asks her what's wrong, but Eugenie doesn't respond and finally brings out a lost pendant. Grand-mère is surprised seeing this and reveals she had lost it 40 years ago. She asks Eugenie how she did know about it, and Eugenie reveals that her grandfather is the one who told her about it. The following day, Eugenie's mother, Mère Cleary, comes to meet her in her room and informs her that her father will take her to Meudon, where she will meet with Hortense. She tells her not to offend or taunt her whenever she gets there. Eugenie sees her mother crying and promises to be on her best behavior. However, arriving at Meudon with her father and brother, she realizes they all lied to her and brought her to a mental asylum home. Eugenie is surprised by this, and she tries to talk to her brother about it, but he keeps mute. Some men come to the carriage and take her away. The next scene shows a nurse named Genevieve Glizes checking on Eugenie. She confirms that Eugenie is healthy but lets her know that her being at the asylum is up to her father and not her. Eugenie is then taken to a room where some other patients are. A woman comes to meet her, and Eugenie is scared by her act. A young lady named Louise sends the woman away and introduces herself to Eugenie. Louise is happy to see Eugenie and begins to keep her company. At night, while they are all having dinner, Louise tells Eugenie about some of the patients. She also tells Eugenie about her illness and how her sister's husband molested her. The following day, Eugenie sees Genevieve and some other people coming to take Louise away. The next scene shows Dr. Jean-Martin Charcot introducing Louise to his audience as someone who had suffered from acute symptomatic hysteria. He then orders silence as he begins to hypnotize her. Everything seems to go well until Louise slumps down and starts behaving like a possessed being. Dr. Charcot excuses them all and leaves their midst. Later that day, as Genevieve cleans Louise up, Dr. Jules comes to the room and explains to them he wants to be alone with Louise. He talks with her and then engages in hormonal gameplay with her. In the next scene, Genevieve leaves the asylum and heads home to meet with her father. She explains what happened in the asylum to her father, and he replies that what happened to Louise might be epilepsy. She also tells him about the new girl Eugenie. Later that day, Genevieve returns to the asylum and meets with Eugenie, who is alone in the room. Eugenie asks for help, but Genevieve lets her know it's not up to her. However, she lets her know she can arrange for them to see the doctor the next day. Eugenie tells Genevieve about her late sister Blandine and the letters she writes to her. She then tells her that Blandine was around them and she could talk to her. Genevieve doesn't believe Eugenie and feels she had a seizure or was going nuts and leaves. However, as she leaves the room, she is seen entering a room and opening a safe where the letters she wrote to her sister were. The following day, one of the doctors accesses the patients, and as Eugenie appears before him, he asks her some weird questions which piss her off, and he orders the nurses to take her for a hydrotherapy treatment which requires her locked up in ice water. At night, Genevieve heads home and notices someone following her from behind. As she climbs a stair, she sees the person moving fast to meet up with her. A young man suddenly calls out her name, introducing himself to her as Théophile Cleary. He hands her a book for Eugenie and asks for her help to get Eugenie out of the asylum. The next scene shows two nurses taking Eugenie, who is shivering due to the ice she was in, back to her bedside, and Louise goes to keep her warm. On the other hand, Genevieve goes through the book Théophile gave her for his sister. The following day, Genevieve meets with Eugenie and tells her about the book her brother sent for her. Genevieve then informs her that if she can allow her to speak to Blandine. However, Eugenie asks for her freedom in place of talking with her sister, and Genevieve agrees and leaves. The next scene shows all the patients leaving the church, and one of them, who hasn't talked since arriving, begins to sing, and this act of hers takes them all by surprise. They are all happy listening to her as Genevieve walks gently to her side and holds her so they can all return to the asylum. Later that day, Genevieve calls Eugenie to a private room so she can speak with her sister. Eugenie seems to take too long, which pisses Genevieve off. As she is about to tell Eugenie to leave, she suddenly gets through to Blandine, who informs her that their father is in danger at home. On getting home, Genevieve thinks Eugenie deceived her, but she suddenly sees a cloth on the dining table with a blood stain, and she quickly runs to her father's room to check on him. Her father is surprised to see her come to meet him in time, making him ask her how she knew something was wrong with him. Genevieve tries to lie to him, but he asks her to tell him the truth, and she informs him that Blandine told her about it through one of the patients who talks to spirits. Her father is angry hearing this, and he tells her to stop saying such as Blandine is dead and it was not possible to hear from her. Genevieve tries to convince him, but he scolds her and tells her to leave his room. The next scene shows Eugenie being attended to by a doctor, and as he is done, she sees them bringing Louise, who is in a pretty bad condition, to the room. Dr. Charcot and some other doctors are together in the room, and Eugenie begins to challenge and accuse them of being the cause of what is happening to Louise. Dr. Charcot orders two men to hold her as Dr. Jules uses ether to make her unconscious. The following scene shows Genevieve in Dr. Charcot's office, and he informs her that he will be sending Eugenie to isolation as she's dangerous. He won't want her to contaminate the weaker patients. He also lets her know he has sent one of the nurses, Jean, to handle the task. Jean tells Eugenie that she will keep an eye on her and there is no need for her to be afraid as she will be a different woman when she gets out of isolation. The next day, while Eugenie tries to stay close to the light from the window, Jean notices it and locks it. In the next scene, Genevieve comes to open the window and informs Eugenie that she was right about her father and Blandine, and she promises she is going to help her out of the asylum. Eugenie is happy to hear this. Eugenie hears a strange noise of someone speaking to her, and not quite long Jean comes to meet her. Jean sits by her side and tries to give her some snacks as she has stopped eating the food she was always given. Eugenie begins to speak to Jean about her mother and the things she did to her, which made her lock her up in isolation. Eugenie also talks about her son, and Jean begins to cry hearing this. However, she changes her act, grabs Eugenie by her hair, and warns her not to repeat such. Genevieve plans to get Jean's keys to the isolation room with one of the patients. She then meets Eugenie, who informs her that Blandine is around them. She tells her that Blandine was happy to speak with her and was pleased with the letters, but she would like her to stop writing them as they only make her sad. Eugenie finally says that Blandine misses her, and Genevieve cries out, saying she also misses her. Genevieve thanks Eugenie for everything, and as she leaves the isolation, she bumps into Jean, who thanks her for finding her keys. Genevieve tells her that Eugenie is weak and lifeless and that she will inform Dr. Charcot about releasing her. The next scene shows Genevieve discussing with Dr. Charcot about Eugenie's progress in isolation and her health condition. Dr. Charcot then agrees to release Eugenie and tells Genevieve she will be blamed for anything that happened. The next day, Eugenie is let out of isolation, and as she goes to the general room chamber, she meets with Louise, who's happy to see her. The following scene shows Théophile opening an invitation card sent to him. The next day, Genevieve directs some nurses in decorating the asylum for the upcoming annual ball to be held at night. Afterward, some groups of nurses come to drop off some bags of clothes for the patients, and they are all happy to see them. The guest arrives at the asylum at night, and Théophile also walks in. The patients are all happy seeing the guests. Dr. Jules addresses the audience and welcomes them to the asylum. He tells them about the patient's condition and introduces them to Dr. Charcot, and they all clap for him. Dr. Jules then tells the ladies to join the audience downstairs. Eugenie finally meets with Théophile. Jean tries to keep an eye on Eugenie but suddenly loses track of her and begins to look around for her. Théophile and Eugenie go to meet Geneviève in a room. Jean checks out each room as she can't find Eugenie. Geneviève is later seen in a mask coming out of a room with Théophile and Eugenie. Dr. Jules takes Louise to a room and begins forcing himself upon her against her wish, before a nurse arrives to stop it. Geneviève finally leaves the asylum with Eugenie and Théophile, and as Jean tries to stop them, they push her away, and she goes to call for help. Geneviève finally helps Eugenie out of the asylum and throws the key away before Jean and some men get to her. The movie ends with Eugenie walking in nature as a free woman while Geneviève is held hostage as a sick patient in the asylum. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this.